Good morning, good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Urvish Patel, and I'm the Chief Education Officer and Director of Clinical Research Training Program, Research Update Organization. And let's start discussion on the one of the most popular and unexplored topic, roadmap to publication, or in other term, how to publish effectively. So this is the most basic fundamentals of clinical research, which we are going to discuss today, in which we are going to discuss basics of clinical research, what is clinical research among so many different type of research, and also how to publish effectively in a shorter period of span. It's a step-by-step process. It's not a rocket science. Usually, what we are doing it in a normal practice is to structure-wise decide some topic, and we follow those steps one by one, and we begin with the A step, and once we reach to Z, the step will finish and then publication will come out. So we are going to narrow down the whole publication process in a very short manner. First of all, let me tell you what is clinical research and what type of research exists. So the research means collection of any known information in a way, in a particular way to create a new knowledge. Either the new knowledge will be in form of original analysis, or in form of surveys or clinical trials or experiments, or in just form of a qualitative research or theorizing the research. Basic research, basic three type of research are basic science research, which we are doing it in a phase 0. That's a clinical trials on animals, or some of the cellular genetics and molecular level of the research in human being. So that's a basic science research, and usually people are doing PhD in that one. The second one is clinical research, which I'm going to discuss today. And the third one is the translational research, or bench to bedside, plus clinical trial application to population based implementation. So for example, the most common knowledge of translational research is a newly launched immunotherapy or any medicine which cannot wait for finishing 4 phase of clinical trial to reach to FDA approval. So in the shorter duration of the span, they apply that same knowledge to the some group of people, some group of patient, which may benefit out of that in a most efficient manner with the reduced side effect. So we are having in COVID some of the drug without approval, right away we use it. Remdesivir is one of the example. Some of the chemotherapies following the same pattern. Followed by that, they go to the standard process to open it for a whole community or whole group of people, population of interest. But in a beginning phase, they used to apply on a small, very particular patient in order to directly reach from bench, which is theory, to bed, which is application. So let's discuss clinical research itself. So first of all, before we jump into the clinical research, most common issue I would like to explain, and then we will jump to the process or step-by-step approach. The plagiarism. The plagiarism is basically presenting the work of someone else, whether it's a word, idea, data, information, evidence, or any principle, and you name it as your own work. And plagiarism is a most common troublesome factor when you are working with the manuscripts or doing clinical research, because directly, indirectly, sometimes you use someone's material, you don't give them credit, or you don't give them acknowledgement, and then you publish it. And sometimes it's not about someone else. Sometimes it apply to your own work, self plagiarism, I name it. So usually what happens that you are doing some type of research again and again and again, and you utilize your concept from your previously published project. So that will create the issue of the plagiarism. So plagiarism, you make sure that you identify those issues, you acknowledge, you give them credit, or you cite them in order to avoid plagiarism. Now, before we begin into the clinical research and what is the benefit of having clinical research. This is one of the complicated part or complicated the circuit I would like to show you here. It's a two part of the process. One part, if you see, this is internal validity and the protocol going towards internal validity. What is internal validity? Whatever we are doing it as a clinical research, that is considered as internal validity. You choose one population, you choose one sample, you have one question to ask. For example, what is the number of the people who died during latest or recent COVID-19 wave? Then in that case, you are going to choose a small number of people in order to identify what was the incident, the recent incident, or what is the prevalence of COVID-19, right? That's a research question. That whatever you are getting the answer in your study, that we call it internal validity. And then after you have the internal validity, you are going to plan in a way that that internal validity you are going to apply to external validity, means whatever incidence prevalence mechanism you find out, that will apply to external world or external population outside your study or not. That is considered as the external validity. Internal validity you counted using different type of test, we will discuss that. External validity you can apply from internal to external, but our goal is to make sure to get the accurate answer for in external validity by predicting from internal population. And whatever error we are getting it to through do that, that we call it bias, type 1 type 2 errors, right? So we are the thorough the whole research process, you need to make sure that our ideas which we are discussing, the whole idea of our is to work on a specific population. This is the world. Think about world in a bigger term. And this is your study project. So the whole idea is to work on this small population in a way that whatever response you are getting it, that response or that answers can be applied to this population or not. So this is all about clinical research. You do it in your lab, or you do it in your study, you do it in your observational study or clinical trial, and then you apply it to the external world. Here is the stepwise approach to go through each and every step, and that step will begin from having one basic idea. So I'm going through the whole process, but before that, I would like to show you something most important in everything in one page. So you are going to have idea. Everything what you are looking into this red arrows, everything is one skill. So research question identification is a skill, hypothesis generation is a skill, so on. Everything here is a skill. So if you learn one by one each skill, then you can reach to a successful submission. Once you submit, the post submission steps are different that we are going to discuss, but this is the whole hypothesis generation stepwise approach. We start with the research question. Research question means identifying ideal question for your studies. There could be plenty of questions. What is the incidence? What is the prevalence? What is the population of interest? What is the intervention of interest we are going to keep it? Or what is going to be the primary objective of the study or secondary objective of the study? Different type of objective of the study we calculate. For example, is there any association between tuberculosis and cancer, or incidence of tuberculosis or prevalence of tuberculosis, incidence of cancer in tuberculosis versus incidence of lung cancer outside non-tuberculosis patients, right? So what is the mechanism? What is pathophysiology? There are plenty of questions. Questions could be qualitative, which means it won't have a number attached with it. Mechanism, pharmaceutics, pharmacodynamics or kinetics, or maybe quantitative, that means it's having number, incidence, prevalence, odds ratio, relative risk, hazard ratio. So all research question needs to be identified in advance. then hypothesis generation, then study design. We find out what type of study we would like to plan. Then we are having cohort identification, population identification, intervention identification, comparison identification, and outcome identification. Definition for tuberculosis for internal medicine physician is different than radiologist, than a researcher who are going to use survey to identify. For pathologists who identify that on the basis of lab results, for anatomists who identify them using the autopsies. So the definition of population, intervention, comparison, and outcome is most important. Once you decide your outcomes, primary, secondary outcome, then we jump to introduction part. We jump to find out some particular article describing the previously published article on that, what are the gaps in those articles and what you really want to do. Then we decide the methodology. Then we write research proposal. After we write research proposal, we submit it to institutional review board committee or ethics committee, or we do data usage agreement with some of the committees where you don't require to get the ethical approval. Once everything is done, then data collection start. Now, the issue is data collection is a very complicated process. It takes really long time to finish, especially in many of the developing world where data is not collected using electronic health record or electronic data. Then you need to manually collect the data for your studies, especially if you are in India and you are doing ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research related projects, then you may face this issue of collecting of the data by yourself. So your phase 1 of clinical research finish when data collection finish for the study. So this is your whole phase 1 steps. In research update organization, we make sure that we organize the full data. We do data usage agreement with everyone, and we make sure that until that phase 1, the data collection, we will teach you side by side when you are learning the concept of research as less as within 1 month. Usually when I remember my ICMR experience, it took me 2 years to just finish this phase 1 to collect the data from here to here. Then phase 2 of the research start. And phase 2 research start with the analysis. Once you do the analytical planning, then you prepare ghost tables in which you plan that what are the number, what are the tests you want to do. It will go each step one by one. After that, you interpret the analysis, do the analysis and interpret the analysis using different softwares, SPSS, SAS, R in India, EpiInfo, and so many more software. And then finally, you fill up that table and results, table and figures in terms of primary result. So that phase considered as phase 2. That phase is considered phase 2. And that can be, if data is there with you, then that phase can be finished as early as within 1 week. Why? Because then you are having full 1 week to analyze using fancy softwares to write those results. Everything is on a desktop. Nothing required to go to hospital and collect any other information. So that is going to be much more easy for you to deal with the phase 2 from your home only. Now, after phase 2 finish, then we are having path A and path B. Path A means you are going to present your work. I'm just writing here. You're going to present your work in either conference, whether it's a national conference, local conference, international conference. You present your work in terms of abstract, which is 300 word of a document. You go there, you publish that the day, or I can say they publish it, the conference association, let's say American Heart Association. Once you present the work in American Heart Association conference, they publish it in their affiliated journals. Let's say Circulation, let's say Stroke. So they publish it, and that finish your one phase of your presentation part. But now from submission to acceptance will take approximately 3 to 4 months for conference, because probably let's say 5,000 submissions arrive all over the world. Probably 3 judges will review that and will narrow down whatever capacity they are having it for people to come there and present. Let's say out of 5,000, 10% or 20% get accepted. So 500 to 1,000 people will be invited to American Heart Association, and many more associations are there. Total, there are 17 to 18 different associations in different field of medicine. Or medicine means medicine, surgery, internal medicine, surgery, family medicine, cardiology, pulmonary, GI, hemonc. Total 16 to 17 different subspecialty and specialties are there, in which they have at least 3 to 4 association in each specialties. So from 5,500 people, 500 to 1,000 people are invited to present the work. And after presentation finish, then you are going to write the full length of manuscript, which will be your chapter of 20 page to 30 page. And of course, there are many type of full length. Sometimes the chapters are of only 1,200 to 1,300 words to 3,000 to 6,000 words. So you write the full length manuscript and you go to the path B, that you are going to go through the writing of the manuscript and submit it to the journal. Now, when we discuss that path A and path B, this is what Research Update is doing it, that we submit it for the conference first, followed by that we submit it to the full length manuscript. That is what we are doing it, but it's not necessarily that you can do that, because the time duration is 6 months from writing the completion of the project and submission and acceptance of the path A, which is conference. So you can directly write full length manuscript, and then you can directly submit your full length manuscript as well. So you can do that if you want to do that. So presentation and publication. Presentation means conference submission, and conference presentation, and publication means submitting directly to the journal and then publish full length chapter. Now, if you decide path B, then you need to complete the result section, you need to complete discussion writing, you need to complete conclusion, you have to complete take home message and features of the study, or basically what that study is all about. You need to proofread that document multiple times. You have to cite those manuscript. After citation, you prepare pre-submission document. Now, what is pre-submission document? That means your cover letter, that means your title page, that means your supplementary material, that means your figure in whatever way they are asking, format according to journal, and then choose a journal and submit it. So this way we can finish the full submission, and the full submission means your phase 3. That means now you not only presented your work in the conference, and you can also publish the manuscript. And if we don't want to go like that way, then as I was showing you before, that you can consider as phase 3, because in UK you are getting special points, I think 7 to 8 points, if you are presenting in any of the national or international conferences. So we are keeping this category as a phase 3 category, let's say. And in US also, poster presentation has a separate category, oral presentation has a separate category, and then complete your manuscript into phase 4. So this is the phase 4 phase of process which we are going to discuss here. And after submission finish, what happened? After once submission is going to be finished, then you are going to indirectly telling editor-in-chief, editor-in-chief of the journal, that please review my manuscript, whether it's worth publishing or not. If it is not worth publishing, then they will send it back to you and say, sorry, I don't want to publish. It is not meeting our criteria. So then probably in that circumstances, what you are going to do is you are going to submit it to another editor-in-chief, and that process will go on until step one of that editor-in-chief acceptance will go on and complete. From there, editor-in-chief send it to 2 to 3 reviewer, R1, R2, and R3. Those are called considered as judges. Now, once if R1, R2, and R3 will send them result back that, okay, these are our viewpoints on that particular manuscript, then either again editor-in-chief will say, no, it's rejected, or editor-in-chief will say that no, it is accepted, but you require major changes, major changes. And and in my last 5 years of career as a reviewer and editor, I never accept anything on a one shot. Always, if I want to accept something, there will be always plenty of scope to make many changes. So I always send it major changes. After that, major changes is returned back again to editor-in-chief. Editor-in-chief will send it to same reviewer, and the process will happen again. And this time they send it back to them with the minor changes, with the minor changes. Now, what are those minor changes? Minor changes are somewhere the grammatical errors are there, somewhere symbols are written wrong, or tables are not properly done. So those are minor changes. And major changes means guaranteed acceptance. But I'm just telling you, still minor changes, you need to keep eyes on minor changes. After minor changes will finish, then copy editors, which means plagiarism checkers and some of the grammatical changes makers, those send them affiliation is correct or not, all those things. They will fix it, and they will finally send last version back, and that last version is going to be copy editing version. And copy editing version, once you approve copy editing version, that is going to go first as a online first acceptance. Online first means they are going to publish it on online, and they will make sure that very next issue, whatever journal is publishing very next issue, they will publish it there. But that will end your the whole publication process, and I call it that online first, online first issue. Now the whole process once finish, then manuscript come out. Then whatever manuscript come out in the journal in US, it is having the highest value, because if you are having 10 manuscript, then in a early career assistant professor, people get promotion right away. In UK, if one manuscript, if you are one co-author, then give you 7 or 8 point. If you are first author, give you something more points. In India, US, UK, Pakistan, all the countries, if you finish one manuscript during your residency, then only you get your residency considered as completed and your degree will be dispatched. In PhD, in Masters of Science, Public Health, Clinical Research, everywhere we consider that as a thesis. So this process goes anywhere between 6 months to 2 years. And here in the research update, we try our best to finish, and this is considered it as a phase 5 of the publication, phase 5 of the publication, because four phases we here studied, from collection of the data from collection to analysis of the data, presentation in conference, submission in the journal, and post-submission phase. Those all are uh, 5 phases of process. Now, what we are going to do here in research update is we are going to narrow down your phase one and phase two into as little as 6 months of process. And we will submit it in a journal, or we will submit it in a conference in a way so that we have to wait until conference presentations are there. Let's say you submit in January, then conferences will be in mid year, which is June, July, August. So by that time, we start working on phase four and phase five. So on a day conference presentation finish, which is your phase three finish, the same month or very next month, your manuscript will be out. So we are going with a concurrent way so we can achieve the both phases together. That's how we are achieving our all phases in as short as 6 to 9 months. But still it is 6 to 9 months of process. And that's why when someone join multiple projects together, then in a 6 to 9 month, more projects come out because each project has to pass through this pipeline. So this, like the way drug has to pass through the pipeline from clinical trial phase one to phase four, and then after 10 year of rigorous process, one drug get approval. The same way that publication is the same process. Any idea or any research question has to go through the rigorous phases, and then once the phase is finished, then it comes out as a manuscript, which everyone use it in US and UK as standard guideline. From those manuscript of original data, the guidelines can be prepared, and that's what we call it evidence-based medicine. So you heard a lot about what is evidence-based medicine. So this is all about evidence-based medicine. Now, quickly, I'm going to go through those all phases, so you are going to have idea that what we are discussing all about. So this is research question. Research question means any crucial idea that can convert to possible possible manuscript. That crucial idea is something considered as a research question. Can be very easy or very simple question like what is the epidemiology, what is the risk factor, to all the way to complex situation like current healthcare system, what are the problems, quality improvement aspect, healthcare burden aspect, management approach, decision making for prevention, or survival modeling. Survival modeling means if the COVID has been treated with the 100% of your all efforts, still how many people will die after 1 year? Lower value, higher value, and the path in which the COVID burden will go up and down. So if you have last 1 year of data or last 6 months of data, you can project very well in any country, no matter what you will do, X number of minimum ventilation you will require, X number of ICU you will require, X number of doctors you will require, and X number of patients will still die. So that is the survival modeling. And you are very popular thing, 5 year survival, 10 year survival, 15 year survival, right? So those are very complicated questions. You require help from your mentors, peers to identify accurate questions. You require help from previously published articles so that you will have accurate research question, because I feel research questions are backbone of any research project. Now let's jump to hypothesis generation step 2, converting research question into primary, secondary, tertiary hypothesis. We don't want to randomly identify everything. We just want to identify one or two things and maximum third thing. So that way you can effectively write the guideline or suggest the guideline. So those are the primary, secondary, tertiary hypothesis we discuss. Then you discuss on study design. Study design means you are going to have retrospective study, prospective study, cross-sectional study, or it is going to have a particular type of systematic review and meta-analysis. It may be having kind of, let's say, literature review, maybe case report. Those are different type of study. Clinical trials, single blind, double blind, triple blind, single center, multi-center. So type of the study you decide. Data management, you make sure what type of study design, study duration you want, what type of data you are going to get it, where you are going to save the data, how you're going to do analysis. You need resources, what software you will be requiring, and you also need funding. This whole thing require a lot many funding. Let me tell you some example. Once the project will submitted and get accepted, which is phase 5, only in phase 5 we require after acceptance article processing cost. And article processing cost vary from $700-800 to $3,500, depend on the journals. So only to publish your work in an open access you require $700 to $3,500. So we are not talking about phase 1 to phase 4. So this all these things require funding, and you need to make sure funding should be properly received in advance. Now we go with the cohort identification, uh, clear definition of with the clear definition of the cohort, which means population of interest. Whether you want to study stroke population, asthma population, COPD population, or you want to study African American, or you want to study outpatient population in your hospital, all different population should be properly identified. Followed by that, you need to identify what particular intervention, if it's an interventional study. If not, comparison group, you need to identify that I want to compare among stroke people. I want to compare people who have GI bleeding and who don't have GI bleeding. And I'm going to look into that whether RTPA thrombolysis is been given or not, RTPA medicine is given or not. On basis of that, we run the analysis and we can tell that whether the RTPA is responsible for GI bleeding as a complication or not, or is responsible for hemorrhagic transformation in the brain or not. So comparison is GI bleeding occur or did not occur. And then maybe if it's intervention, then intervention means RTP is given or not given. And then you study both population in a way, then you can get the hazard ratio or relative risk or odds ratio. So then you prepare such flow diagram that, okay, you choose this of this data, this year, this population of interest, this is the population, 1 million people you choose, and then once inclusion and exclusion criteria apply, final population is this. You compare young and old people, so that's a comparison group, and your outcome was stroke prevalence, stroke trend, mortality between them. Those are your outcome. And this way, what are the model you run? You run univariate analysis, multivariate analysis, what type of model you want to run, and then how you are going to get your results. This is, we call it flow diagram. So you prepare, this is called planning. We are having 5-year, 10-year, 15-year of planning. Then how we decide that, oh, I want to do my 4 year of medical school, followed by that I'll give these 3 exams, USMLE, PLAB, or NET, post graduation in India. And then we'll see that if this is going to be the good one, then these are the observership, rotation, research, or these are the visa issue with this, or this. And finally, you plan until you settle in another country or the same country until you finish your post graduation, right? So this is basically the whole scenario we discuss as the flow diagram scenario. Okay. Now, after that, we are going to have hypothesis generation, step number 5, the outcome definition. The outcome definition, I prefer to divide into two manner. Either you choose outcome on a basis of location. So what does it mean? That means we choose outcome on a day of arrival in ER, in hospital, within hospital, upon discharge, on a day of discharge, basically upon or on discharge outcome, and then post discharge outcome, and then readmission outcome. If the patient admitted to again, that's called readmission. So that's based on location wise. In hospital means what? Whether patient is dying inside the hospital for a particular reason, followed by a particular procedure, what is the complication, what is the length of cost, length of stay, cost of hospitalization, whether the patient will have disability during the hospital stay or not, on discharge. On discharge, what happened? What is the level of disability? On discharge, what is the risk of death after patient discharge? Post discharge means what? Whether patient has complete recovery or not, whether the post-discharge patient admitted to home health care, nursing home, so many other type of occupational help require. So those all are post-discharge outcome. Recovery occurs or not, or after that, if recovery did not occur, then readmission occur or not, and readmission occur, then what is the reason, what is the duration? We can even predict possibility of 30 days, 60 days, 90 days readmission rate, readmission reason. What is the possibility that if arrhythmia patient is been having on pacemaker, then within how many days again arrhythmia will redevelop? And if redevelop, then what is going to be the readmission reason? All those are considered as a location specific outcome. Now, second type of outcome I can say is the specific to the subject. What does it mean? Subject specific outcome means patient specific outcome. Mortality, morbidity, all those things are considered patient specific outcome. Hospital specific outcome, that means length of stay, cost of hospitalization are hospital specific outcome. And doctor specific outcome, doctor successfully treated with the lower complication or higher complication, or mortality higher is with X doctor or mortality higher with the Y doctor. So that's called doctor specific outcome. So we help you to decide even outcomes in terms of location and subject both together. Followed by that, we make sure introduction and method we write. And of course, introduction and method as a specific steps to approach, and then get the methods and introduction correctly written. After that, you write the research proposal. Research proposal template we also provide you. Research proposal proposal for your own project, for QI project, which is within hospital, and for research proposal for clinical trial. All those, or for the grants, all those research proposal are always same. Some of the here and there changes require that we are going to even help you with that one. This is the example research proposal with the brief summary, and then we make sure that it's having full length document which you are going to, it's like a template, you fill it up and then you submit it to institutional review board, ethics committee, and data usage agreement you are going to sign. So what we are doing it in research update, we will not go through ethics committee and IRB, because we are having data usage agreement with different companies or different data providers. With those data usage agreement, you can be the part of the project and we can start the study. After that, data collection, of course, using electronic health record in the hospital, or what we are doing it is this one, state, national, CDC, global data provider. We do partnerships and we get the data out of it. And the other way, you prepare your own data using PubMed, Scopus, Medline for systematic review and meta-analysis. After data collection, we do pre-analysis preparation. Then after pre-analysis preparation is done, we do analysis preparation. So pre-analysis means, again, what is the sample size we require, what are going to be the analytical method, what is going to be the software we are going to use, and making the ghost tables. And that's the issue which we are going to always do it in a way that it is going to help you with the identifying correct method and correct test, and that's how you are going to run your analysis efficiently. That is the easiest way to plan your analytical planning, and we will make sure that whatever analysis is required, based on that, the softwares, the template for the ghost table, And most important thing is what type of uh, variable of the patients. For example, epidemiology, variable age, race, sex, or socioeconomic status, and so many more. Uh, Concurrent condition and everything. We provide you in a way, efficient way, so it's gonna be make all of our life easy. After that, this is considered as a ghost table. I was telling you, right? The stroke population has an old and young version. Then you divide to compare both groups, and these are the variable of demographics, male, female, all this race, concurrent condition of diabetes, hypertension, obesity, hypercholesterol, cardiac condition, etc., etc. So we help you to create also the ghost tables, and then we plan analysis, and those analysis planning which we are writing it, that will help us not only to fill the table, prepare the figures, and interpret the result in a successful manner, right? So these all are the ghost table, and this is the ghost table with of the outcome is mortality, severity, risk of mortality, length of stay, cost of hospitalization. So these are the outcome, right? And the definition is written on a down of the footnote of the table. So that's the way we help you with. We will teach you to do that, and we will also teach you to make this a good uh, flow diagram or good figures or vector diagram. This is called vector diagram. So we help you to make those figures as well. Followed by that, you are having path A. Path A means conference presentation in form of podium, which means on stage. Moderated poster means you will be presenting and media and team will come to you with a big group. Poster presentation means simple, you're presenting poster in a auditorium with so many other 500 to 1000 posters presented together. And virtual, which I'm doing it in front of you. So that way, conference presentations, we are doing it. Followed by that, we write manuscript, we complete the method, complete the result, complete discussion, conclusion, reference, citation, and so on. You can skip your step one and directly go to step two, step B. If some projects are not that great importance, then we can directly skip pathway one and pathway B. We can just begin with. This is pathway one, abstract writing and conference submission in a 300 word of structured abstract, which covers your intro, 2 to 3 line, aim and objective, 2 to 3 line, method, 3 to 4 line, result, conclusion, one figure or one table without reference. No reference is required. We also have the grading list of abstracts. So I give you 100% guarantee that none of the abstract in my lifetime till now, I had more than 250 abstracts presented in different national conference. Not a single abstract got rejected. It's a straightforward mathematical numbers which you need to follow, and then you can get assured acceptance. If we feel this is not a strong project, will not get accepted, then we send it to multiple conferences to make sure to avoid our timing delay, and either of those two, one will accept, but there will be always someone who's going to accept. Then we interpret the result and figure and write the table write the result section from interpretation of tables and figures, write our discussion part from most important findings to argument, counter argument, to justify our findings, strength and limitation, future direction, and then we make sure that a brief paragraph of conclusion we write it. And after conclusion is done, last thing is why this particular manuscript has to be published. What is evidence already there in the market? Because of our study, what are the new evidence added? And after our new evidence added, which is what will be the implementation or implication of our findings in terms of public health awareness, or in terms of newer generation of the guideline. So the whole key point, we write it in 6-7 lines, and then we finally cite everything using Mendeley. Of course, some of the people do it and not Zotero, ProQuest, but we teach you Mendeley and we provide you free version of Mendeley to use by yourself. And finally, we prepare documentation and we submit it to this type of any journal which is associated with the publication in PubMed, because majority of people wants PubMed publication. And to do that, instruction has to be properly read. And here is the, for example, every journal has instructions. So usually we follow that instructions. Just give me one moment. We follow the instruction of those journals, and then we submit. We prepare our document and we submit it to that particular journal. And after submission is complete, then we enter in phase 5, where the whole cycle of editor in chief to or associate editor to reviewers, reviewers to authors, authors to copy editor, the whole cycle will finish, and that will churn out one paper, whether it's a case report, whether it's a literature review, whether it's a systematic review, meta-analysis, or observational study or clinical trial. So this is the full roadmap to publication. And thank you so much for hearing this tedious lecture from beginning to end. And we are open for your question. If you have question, you can write me on the WhatsApp of the organization, or you can email us, or you can contact us on our website www.researchupdate.org. And thanks for your time, and we'll see you in the next session.